Once your applications get bigger, it's a good idea to split up how you organize your content. On a normal website, you do that by using different pages. But Angular, after all, is a framework for creating single-page applications. The way we do this with Angular is to use a technique called routing. Routing means loading different sub-templates depending on the URL of the page. It turns on another Angular feature called deep linking. So let me explain. One of the problems with single-page applications is that they don't work well with the browser's back button, or for that matter, bookmarking. That's because by definition, a single-page application is on a single page. So how would you get Angular to pretend that one page is actually an entire website? Angular uses a special service called Route Provider to provide a feature it calls deep linking. Deep linking takes care of looking at the location URL and managing how it maps to the current state of the page. Now, it does this by setting up different URLs depending on the state of the page. It takes advantage of a feature you probably already use on single web pages called the hashtag. Now, say, for example, that you go to a website like getbootstrap.com. When you go to a page on this website, like the JavaScript section, you'll see that it has a navigation here on the right-hand side. If we click on one of these elements, like collapse, notice that it's not taking you to a different page. It's taking you to the same page. It's just further down in the document. So we can go to different places within the same page by clicking on these different links. If you look at the URL of this page, you'll notice that it's the same URL of the document plus a # or a hashtag, and then the word modals, which corresponds to the link right here. So if I switch over to alert, you'll see that the URL changes to say alerts. So this hashtag is what's controlling how this page scrolls. In order to make this work, we're going to need to set a few different things up. Now I'm going to click over here to this download folder. And if you remember, when we first installed AngularJS, I mentioned there is a special link right here that gives you some additional extras you might want for your document. Angular has modularized its entire structure so that you only load what you need to run your applications. Now, since we're going to be using routing, we're going to need to download a angular-route.min.js file. So let me go ahead and click on that. Now, if you get this, it means that the browser is loading this page. All you got to do is save it. I'm using Google Chrome, so I'm going to go to the File menu and select Save Page As. I'm going to put this in the same place as my Angular library, which is in my lib folder and in the Angular folder. So I'm going to hit Save. And I'm going to switch back into my code and make sure that the file has downloaded to the Angular lib folder. And it's right there. So we need to call it right here. And it's called angular-route.min.js. Now we're going to create a folder called partials that's going to hold the different templates that are going to load when we pretend that we are on different pages. So at the very top in the Angular folder, I'll make a new folder, which I'll call partials. And in this folder, we're going to create a new file. We'll call that list.html. Now what I want to do is move the content from our index.html page into this new list document. So it's going to be the content that lists our model. So we're going to grab everything right here from search all the way down to this closing div. Right before that closing div, we're going to grab all this and cut this out. And then I'm going to create a container for this. I'll call it section, and it'll have a class of artist page. And then I'll paste all the content from the index.html there. So let me go ahead and save this. Now I'm also going to remove this controller call from the main div, since each of the different views will use their own controllers. I'm going to replace this with an ng view. That's letting Angular know that this area of HTML is going to be controlled by the different snippets of code we create in our partial files. So I'm going to save this. The next thing we need to do is to update our controllers.js document. Right now, this file takes care of setting up our application. We're going to divide the controller logic from the application logic. So we need to take the references to the app and make it only apply to controllers. So I'm going to change this name right here called My App to Artist Controllers. Let's go ahead and hide this other tab right here. Now we're going to have more than one controller in our application. This controller will take care of the list part of our application. So it should be called something like list controller. And you want to be careful here. Controllers are usually named as a class with the first character being an uppercase. So it's a super common mistake to get the capitalization wrong. Let me go ahead and save this. And I'm going to make sure that I view this with the word wrapping on, just so that you can see everything that's happening a little bit beyond this variable right here. Now that's quite a bit of setup for one movie. Routing is going to make your applications more efficient. In addition to downloading the routing file, though, we have to split up the work and modify how we work with controllers. The final step is going to be to recreate our application module and set up our routes. I'm going to take care of that in the next video.